Hey everybody, Carl here, and welcome to the ToyWiz weekly miniatures stream. I say weekly even though we haven't quite been doing it weekly lately, and last week we had a guest artist in the store, so I was there instead of here. But I am here again today, and today the plan is to paint my final piece of Mollog's Mob. As I've done earlier in the year, I did the Spite Room first, and then I did the two other little dudes. It was kind of like this weird, almost like bat type thing, and a weird like stalagmite type thing, which you can see in the image that's over right there. So today we're doing Mollog themselves, and at some point coming up in the future, I'm going to be doing the last of my Corvus Cabal figures, so I can have a Warcry army complete. And that actually brings me to the first thing I wanted to really get to before I get to painting today, and that is I need to give a shout out to JD. A couple weeks ago, I saw that this new K-Knight Shadowstalkers squad was coming out. I thought it looked amazing. The figures looked really cool, and I decided I should pick it up and add it to my collection. When I mentioned that to JD, he told me that he apparently had already gotten the Warcry starter set that had K-Knight Shadowstalkers in it, and he didn't need them. So he was generous enough to give me his extra K-Knight Shadowstalkers, so this one's going to be going back to the store. So if you want to get one for yourself, you can do so. One of the things that I don't think I've mentioned on this channel before, but I do want to mention now, all of the Games Workshop products that we carry at the MAP price. That's redundant. We carry it at MAP. MAP is the minimum accepted price that Games Workshop allows us to have them at. So in order to make things a little more fair for everyone, they limit how much the figures and stuff can be discounted. So we decided, because we want to make sure that the game is nice and strong, to allow people to purchase stuff from us at the lowest price that we're allowed to sell it at. So if you're looking for good deals on your Warhammer stuff, you know where to find us. If you don't know where to find us, we're at 347 West Route 59 in Nanuet, New York. We're open every day at noon, and we're open until 6 p.m. on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and until 8 p.m. on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So I think that's about enough for house cleaning, or housekeeping. And let's get to introducing our guest of honor, Mollog. And, let me... I'm working on getting some new equipment around here, so bear with me. Okay, that's a bit better. Yeah, I got a new light, but it's pretty bright out today, so I was just kind of washing things out. So this is Mollog, and I'm going to paint him, and I suppose you're going to be watching and listening, so I hope you enjoy it. If you want to know what colors I'm using, the list is right on the bottom of the screen here. It's primarily I'm going to be using contrast, and I do have some Xerius purple layer paints that I'm going to be using to just highlight some of the dots on the upper mushroom. So yeah, I guess let's get down to it. I'm just going to quickly grab a small piece of paper towel here. You know what, that's going to wash it out. I'm just going to paint it directly onto the desk and hopefully not spill any paint on the desk. When I get to the base, I'll put the towel back. So I think I'm going to begin with the Black Templar paint. We're going to use that for the upper part of Mollog's body. This one I'm actually going to be going kind of close to the suggested color scheme that they have there, as opposed to my usual divergence. Originally I was going to go with a Warp Lightning green for him, but I think the black and gray is going to look a little bit better. And I'll have plenty of other opportunities to get some additional color in there. So I'm going to load up some of the contrast paint from the top of the pot, and I guess I'll start on his back. Now if you haven't watched me do this before, and you're unfamiliar with the contrast paints, let me give you a little bit of an explanation. Contrast paints are very thin. They have they work almost kind of like watercolors, which they apply very lightly, but they're designed in such a way that when they pool, they darken. And what that does is it allows the nooks and crannies to kind of shade themselves without the need for extra, dry brushing and shading. You can still add those things on top of it, which I did when I put together my, when I painted my Catan Shard of the Void Dragon in our last 2 streams. But if you're, just trying to get a really nice result and you don't want to put the extra time, or you just don't have the extra time, or you're unsure of your talent, the contrast paints help you achieve a lot more than maybe you otherwise would have been able to, or more than you thought you might have been able to. Whenever you're applying the paint, a couple things to bear in mind. Number one, it will dry darker than it looks. So don't go too crazy, or don't worry that maybe it's not looking like it's covering things quite right. Just give it a little bit of time. Because you can always go back and add more paint later on if you do want it even darker. But if it comes out darker than you want, you can't really kind of go in there and make it lighter. You also want to try, and something that I frequently fail at doing, so this is very much a case of do as I say and not as I do. But when you're painting with contrast paints, you want to try to get your brush strokes to all go in the same direction. Otherwise, you're going to end up with visible streaks there. And I noticed my little kitten Vivi just wandered on into the room, so hopefully he'll behave himself. And I think he heard me talking about him because he just meowed. I don't know if that got picked up by the microphone or not. Incidentally, if you'd like to comment, or if you'd like to ask any questions and you're watching this live, please feel free to do so. Just mention it in the chat. I will be able to see it. I also have it popping up on the image itself, as you can see on the on there. So please, keep the language family friendly. And your comments, polite. Just kind of dancing around the stalks of some of these mushrooms here. Now I'm going to go with the darker paint on the upper part of his body, and I'm going to kind of go in afterwards with the gray to get the lower parts. Almost used up all the paint I have in the lid already. I usually try to pull the paint out of the top of the pot rather than from inside the pot itself, just because it's a little safer as far as avoiding getting too much paint on the brush. So I got a little paint on the mushroom on top of his head there. Up, and we have Kitten. Vivi, that's not for you. That's I swear I have never seen a cat as fascinated with water as Vivi is. Okay, I think he just jumped up onto my bed, so maybe he'll lie down for the rest of the stream. Get some shut-eye. And if you're tuning in, please feel free to follow our channel. The more followers we get, the more other fun stuff I can start doing here. Things like running stream raiders. So, even if you never watch another one of our videos, it would still be much appreciated. And as you can see in the chat, which is still up on the screen, even though I thought I had set it to fade away after a couple of seconds. Starting in January, we're going to do, or I guess I'm going to be doing some comic lectures here as well as our painting streams. And our first one will be on Tuesday, January 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the topic of the lecture and discussion is going to be DC's upcoming Future State books. Looking at what Future State is, what it originally was supposed to be, what's going to happen after it. So it's going to be fairly comprehensive, and I'll be happily answering any questions that anyone may have, as well as just talking. So as much as I do enjoy hearing the sound of my own voice, I certainly welcome any other input. If you like the music you're hearing, it's from purple-planet.com, providers of royalty-free music. And they're responsible for the entire playlist you'll be hearing during the stream today. I also have a new webcam coming in, so hopefully we'll have some better video for you in future streams. We'll see how well that works out once it arrives and I get it all set up. Big bulbous nose there. get a little on the cheekbones there. Then I think I'm going to switch over to the gray for the rest of his body. Just want to get around the eye also. Should probably break out the magnifier, but I'm not. And it's a little hard to see on the camera there, but there is variation in the black on there. Some parts it's a little bit lighter and grayer, some places it's a bit darker. Again, hopefully once I get that that new... Actually, no, let's get a little more of the darker on the back of his arms there. Once I get that new webcam, hopefully it'll look a little more clear. Alrighty. Let's get the rest of his arm here, and then I'm going to move on and get his fingers. I'll move on to the other arm, and then we'll switch over to a gray. One of the nice things about Games Workshop's models, they are so detailed. But that's also a downside when it comes to painting them, because there are so many nooks and crannies you have to work around. But, you know, the more you work at it, the more you practice, the better you get at it. You really get some amazing results. Okay, let's get these fingers. I want to try to avoid the nails because I want to make sure I paint those a different color later. I've also got some fungus sprouting from his club there. So I want to make sure I don't accidentally get some black Templar on that. Okay. This is a bit tough because there's a... We have the finger here, but then we've got a bit of the knob of the wood. So I'm going to try to work around that. Really should probably be using the magnifier. But very carefully, I think I got it. Okay, it's one finger down. the next one near this giant mushroom up top there. Now, one of the nice things about the contrast paints with them being thinner is that if you do make a mistake, you might be able to pull some of the paint back off of it. Kind of hard to do that completely, but at least you can try to mitigate some of your happy accidents a little bit. Quite see where the nail is on this finger. Maybe it ended up getting torn off in a big fight or something. Again, I'm not making these to necessarily play with them, although I probably am going to start digging into Warcry a bit once I'm done with my last Corvus Cabal warrior. But I can still make up stories about them. As the late, great Bob Ross always used to say about his paintings, but it certainly applies to miniatures as well. This is your world, and you can do whatever you'd like. If you want your Space Marines to be all in bright, hot pink armor, then go right ahead. It's your army. Do what you like. At the end of the day, the only person you need to impress is yourself. Unless you're in a painting competition, but I guess that kind of goes without saying. In that case, you need to impress the judges. But that being said, when the competition's over, and you bring your miniature back on home, you're the one who has to live with it. So always do what makes you happy. Like right now, I'm doing the Mollog himself here in the grays that show up in the official paint jobs, but if I wanted to make them warp lightning green, I have that option as well. And actually, I was going to do that up until the point where I realized that I really don't have a lighter green paint with me right now to kind of offset it from just being one big mass of green. And that's when I decided, you know, let's do the grays that are in the official artwork. Why not? So whether it's just a matter of opportunity or if you know, you have a specific color scheme in mind, again, do what you like with your guys. When I did the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon, the last two streams that I did, rather than go with a regular stone look and the green electricity, I went with dark purple stones and crackling pink electricity. And I am extremely happy with the way that that one came out. As my allergies are now kicking in, because as much as I love my kitty and my puppy, I am so allergic to them, it's not even funny. And thankfully Vivi is quietly cleaning himself over on my bed right now, so I won't need to worry about him jumping up and paying the stream a visit, but that always remains a possibility. So, yeah, follow our channel for potential interruptions by cat. And he is an adorable little guy. He's almost 6 months old. Actually, I think, say the 19th of... Yeah, I think he actually is 6 months old as of today. Just gonna have to double check the his paperwork for his exact age, but I'm pretty sure that they told me that they believe his birthday to be around June 19th, so it's a half birthday to him today. A little tough here to see where the frog he's holding ends, where his hand ends and the frog he's holding begins. Instantly, that's another, just personal touch that I'm going to be adding to this one. Instead of being green, I'm going to make this frog Volupus pink. Again, trying to get just the detail on his fingers there, while avoiding getting any of the Black Templar on the nails, which I'm going to be making, I believe I'm going to go with Skeleton Horde later, which is kind of a yellowish color. Because I'm pretty sure Mollog here doesn't have the best hygiene. And again, maybe in your world, you want Mollog to be well manicured. You go in there, you make some adjustments to the plastic. You file down some of the gnarled bits, and you give them a perfect nails. Big pearly white teeth. And a bit of a makeup job. Who knows? Your Mollog can be as gnarly or as fabulous as you want him to be. Or her. I don't know, not familiar with Mollog. I keep referring to him as him just for simplicity's sake, because I think he's a dude, but maybe in your world he's not. Maybe in your world Mollog's female. Almost done with the Black Templar. Just going to get the last fingers down here. I'm a little heavy there. I have a tendency when I'm painting to occasionally hold my breath when I'm trying to get some of the really like hard to reach parts. Certainly not the best of ideas. So as always, I'll remind you and attempt to remind myself when you're painting, remember to breathe. A tiny bit more in there, and I think we'll be about ready to move on to the next color. Alrighty. So we have a nice, good top layer there of Black Templar. Next, I'm going to move over to the Basilicanum Gray, which we're going to be using for the bottom parts of his body. Now I've got two grays on my list there. Basilicanum Gray and Griffcharger Gray. The Griffcharger Gray actually gives a little bit of a greenish tint, which you can see on this dude here. And so that is what I'm going to use for the base, like the floor of the cave that he's hiding out in. And the Basilicanum Gray, which is a bit more of a neutral gray, I'm going to use that for his body. So let's clean off the brush. And let's shake up the Basilicanum Gray. Now with the Basilicanum Gray, I'm going to start by doing the rest of his torso, where I left off, on the other side, underside of the arms and his back, and then I'll move on and I'll take care of his feet. So I'm just going to pick up right where I left off over here. And I'm going over the Black Templar a little bit too, for two reasons. Number one, just to get a little extra shading in there. You can see there's a big delineation point there. Now, like I mentioned before, the Basilicanum Gray will end up drying a bit darker than it looks, but I'm probably going to want to put a second coat on here so it blends a little bit more with where I left off with the Black Templar above. This is a fun little piece. Doo-doo. Doo-doo. Oh, that didn't last very long. I do want to be a little careful as I'm doing his torso here because he does have some fungus growing on him. I want to make sure I paint that a different color too. Now, Mollog's Mob is actually available as two different types of sets. There's a white box one that's available through the GW web store, which we can absolutely order for you. There's also one from the Warhammer Underworlds, where they have a box set there. That's where I originally had seen these guys. I didn't care so much about the Mollog or the bat thing or the stalagmite thing. I just thought the spite shroom was adorable, so that's why I picked this set up. Like a little angry mushroom blowing his top. I must have that. But then when I went to go pick up the Underworld set, which I can't remember if it was Shadespire or Night Vault, Lewis had mentioned, hey, we have a web store, white box version of it. Why don't you just grab that one? And I did. See, it is drawing a bit darker. Still not quite as dark as I would like, so I might still go back and put another coat on there, but it is definitely looking a little more blended instead of like that hard line that I was worried it was originally going to look like. I do want to put a little more paint up on top of his arms though to make that stand out a bit more. Oh, I also have to get underneath his hand there, which I completely missed. Just like I said earlier, these models are so detailed. You somehow at times forget some of the little nooks and crannies you still have to get in there and cover in. Whew. Okay. Caught myself holding my breath again there. And if you're just tuning in, please feel free to follow the channel. The more followers we get, the more additional fun stuff we can do here. So I'd love to be able to get some stream raiders going, so we can get some little bit of gaming in while we're painting. Of course, there are other benefits to following. You'll get notifications whenever we do go live, whether it's with our miniature streams like I'm doing today, or if it's the comic lecture series I'll be starting up in January. You can also follow us on other social media. You can find us at Facebook at ToyWiz Collectibles. You can find us on Twitter at ToyWiz Store and Instagram at ToyWiz Store. You can also catch replays of our Twitch streams on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ToyWiz. If you're looking to get some games in, you need to find some opponents for your miniature stuff, you can also join our Facebook group, the ToyWiz Tabletop Club. It's also where Lewis will post a lot of our the new stuff that's coming out that we can pre-order. Which is a big help, because then you can let us know if you want something, so we know exactly how much to order on stuff that's coming out. So if we see that we have a lot of people that are interested in something, instead of just being like, okay, well, nobody said anything, so we'll just get like 2 of these, and suddenly have 10 people wanting it and 8 of them are disappointed, we can make sure we get enough for everyone. Oops. A little tough getting around the little mushroomy bits here. I'm thinking maybe it might be easier just to keep the gray there and then put some of the yellow over it. I guess it would also help keep the yellow from getting too overwhelming. You know what? I think that's what I'm going to do. Changed my mind. We are going to go over the fungus on his belly. And I will handle that a bit differently then. Okay, let me take a quick moment to find out why my music has stopped. And it looks like Windows Media Player. Yeah, I should probably be running this off of... I should probably set this up in iTunes instead, but I was trying to keep this separate from my other playlist there. I have no idea what song I left off on. So I'm just going to switch over to that one. Again, the music you're hearing is from Purple Planet. Okay, almost done with the Basilicanum Gray. But first I just got to finish up his face. I'm going to leave the lips, which I'm going to do in the Shaiish Purple. So I'm just going to get around his chins, get his ears. Make sure to keep his earrings clear so I can get those done in a different color. Okay, I think we're about done with his torso. Try to check a few more angles, see if there's anything else I might have missed. But doesn't appear to be, so let's move on and get his feet. And then we'll move on to our next color. Again, in my world, Mollog is not exactly the most hygienic, but in your world, if you wanted to have a full mani-pedi, go right ahead. Alrighty, with that I think we're good with the Basilicanum Gray. For now, at least. Need be, you can always go back and revisit colors. Goodness knows I've done that plenty of times in my streams. Oh, excuse me. So, like I said before, I'm a little sniffly today. I got my puppy and my kitty, and as much as I love them, I'm allergic as hell to both of them. Okay, what do I want to do next? I think what I'm going to do next is go with the... Let's do his pants. For that, we're going to go with the Snakebite Leather. Actually... no. I'm going to do Skeleton Horde for the pants. Save the Snakebite Leather for the belt and some of the other little bits of leather he's got on there. So we're going to use the Skeleton Horde for his pants, his nails, and... oh yes, the skulls that are on the base. I really love the effect that the Skeleton Horde has on the skulls, because when it gets into like the eye sockets, it darkens in such a very nice way, and it gives a really good look of just like aged bone that's not not bleached, because it's not a pure white. It's definitely got some grimy yellow to it, which really just works so well. For me, at least. I'm just going to go over there and get that nice yellow aged bone look. And when it pools in the eye sockets, it does darken considerably. So it really gives you that whole sunken, hollow look to it, which is extremely effective. I also like using it for kind of a lighter brown leather look for like khaki type pants or whatever. So it's a versatile color, or at least I found it so. I think my next big thing is I'm going to have to try to get either Lewis or one of our club members to agree to come on to the stream and kind of give me some more pointers. Someone with a bit more skill than I have. Which actually brings me to, if you'll remember, on Thanksgiving I did a bonus stream where I worked on, oh wow, I completely missed part of his foot there. Okay, looks like we're going back to the Basilicanum Gray soon. I did a bonus stream where I painted Sabine Wren from the Star Wars Legion game for the store's painting competition. And in case you were wondering how I did, I am very proud to say that I came in second to last. So, yeah, didn't work out too well for me. But I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting too much out of it. I wasn't the proudest of the job I did on Sabine. By way of contrast, I think I did a phenomenal job on the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon, and I have been sharing that image of it all over social media, both on the store's sites and on my own. Because I think that thing came out so well, and I love that model. Yeah, see how this one's darkening here? Like I said, it's a really nice shade. Especially noticeable on the skulls on the bottom there, which even with this less than ideal webcam is still visible. Whoops. Huh. Well, I just noticed something uncomfortable underneath. I will not go into any further detail as we're trying to keep this a family-friendly stream. But I will say that it certainly does appear that Mollog is indeed male. Or at least possesses certain male aspects. Or who knows, maybe in your world, Mollog was born male, identifies as female, and since this is a fantasy setting, they don't exactly have modern surgical techniques. Mollog is unable to transition. And perhaps she's felt so ostracized by fellow ogres, that's why she kind of ran off on her own and lives in a cave with her mob, her little spite shroom and stalactite creature, stalagmite creature, and the bat creature, and they kind of help protect her from anyone that tries to come around and shatter the fragile peace that she's forged for herself. You know what? I'm actually digging this backstory now. I think that's exactly how Mollog is going to be in my world. Alrighty, let's take care of her fingernails and toenails. And then we're going to get back to the Basilicanum Gray to take care of her foot. And then we'll move on to another color. We'll give her these just big, horny, nasty fingernails. And yeah, something tells me these teeth aren't too clean either, so let's go over those with the... Oh yeah, that's nice and nasty. Alrighty. So next, let's quickly go back to the Basilicanum Gray and take care of that other foot. And as a heads up, it is now a little past noon, so the store is now open for the day. So feel free to pop on in there, say hi to Lewis, Lily, Colin. Chris will probably be around in the front periodically. If you're lucky, you might run into JD and Clifford. Okay, back to the gray. I will be back there on Monday, getting things set up with the new comic books for the week. Okay. Now I think what I'm going to go with next is... What do I want to do next? I think maybe let's go with... Oh, as Pixie now is walking around in the background. Let's go with... I'll take the Wildwood for the fur. And I just realized I completely forgot to do the toenails. I only did the fingernails. Okay, back to the skeleton horde. Hi, Pixie. You gonna help Daddy with his stream? Well, I can't see your face. You're covered up by the chat window. Oh, by the way, that's something I'm going to have to fix for the next stream. Because the little chat bar on the side there should fade out after each message has been up there for 10 seconds. Clearly that has not happened, as we are now an hour and 5 minutes into my being live, and it's still sitting there. Alrighty then. Now the wildwood is very dark grayish brown. Actually, it's looking more like regular brown now. It's funny, a lot of the other figures I've done, it's got not really a full tint to it, but you know, sometimes you can, you know, just see hints of other colors and colors. Wasn't the case with the other things I've done in the wildwood. It's looking a little richer here for some reason. I don't know if it's because the models are done with a different plastic or what. So I've been using the same Wraithbone spray primer for all of the minis I've done on this stream. Oh, Kitty is stirring. Hopefully he'll just go into the living room and enjoy the sunlight for a bit. Because it'll be very awkward if he decides he needs some time with Daddy. Because once he gets that into his head, no matter how many times I pull him out of my lap, he will keep jumping back. Which is adorable, but also can be frustrating if I'm trying to get something done. Alrighty, and I think, is that the only thing I want? Oh, no, that's right, I want to do the wood of his club in Wildwood. So there's a lot of fungus on there, which I'm going to be doing in the Yandon Yellow. But in and around it, I want to make sure I get the nice dark Wildwood brown. Try to get in between the fingers here. Thankfully, since the fingers are Black Templar, you know, I think I just found another fingernail. I think I'm going to have to go back in there and adjust that again. I'm going to start shifting around my upcoming colors so I know what I want to do next. there is a lot of fungus on this club, so looks like it's going to be primarily the Yandon Yellow. At least that's the color I'm going to go with for it. As you can see in the official image, they went with more of a light pink fungus. And you may be wondering to yourself that, with all the purples and pinks I use with all the other figures I've done, why wouldn't I go with a light pink for the fungus on here? And to that I say, you're not the boss of me. As always, when you're doing these things, it's your world. I love, referencing Bob Ross because he really was just a wonderfully, calming and soothing influence, and just so optimistic. And behind the scenes, he may have been a bit of a perfectionist, but he's an artist, and it's his craft, and you got to expect elements of that. Man spent so many years of his life just trying to bring joy to people. Taking something that he enjoyed doing, trying to teach other people how to do it. And me, well, my personal talents tend to manifest themselves more in the three-dimensional range artistically. Or, musically. Still enjoyed watching his show. Just because it was nice and soothing and relaxing. After, classes were done in high school, my friends and I would all get together at one of our houses and play Magic the Gathering, and in the background we'd put on Joy of Painting. And it was just so much fun playing Magic and just listening to Bob Ross. I'm still just putting little hints of the brown here and there to show that there is wood underneath all of this fungus that's on there. Alrighty. So let's go back to the skeleton horde so I can catch that last... Oh, goodness. That was close. So I can catch that last fingernail that I missed. Then we go with the Apothecary White to get the stems of the various mushrooms that she's got growing out of her head and back. Then I think I'm going to go over to the Snakebite Leather, take care of her belt and her bracelet. After that, I'm going to move on to the Volupus Pink to take care of the frog creature, and then I'm going to start moving on to the yellow and some of the other colors for the tops of the mushrooms. shake this back on up. And where was that? There it is. And we'll get that gnarled fingernail right in there. Okay. Easy peasy. Oh, actually, you know what? I also forgot I need to do a little of the... Well, I need to try each purple. I'm going to save that for some of the mushrooms as well. So we'll come back to that one. But first, it's been an hour and 15 minutes, and I've been talking quite a bit. My throat's getting a bit dry, so we're going to take a brief break, and I will be back shortly. And I'm back. Alrighty then, so let's shake up that Apothecary White, which has been sitting for a while. Make sure we get all that sediment back in there. Uh-oh. I think somebody's going to try to pay us a visit. Yep, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Vivi. Come on, boy. Let's go. Ah, good boy. Alrighty then. That's not going to be the last we see of him. I can guarantee that. You know what? This is a bit of a big brush I've been using. I'm going to switch over to one that's a little bit smaller. Let's go over to a base coat brush. Still don't quite need to get to the fine detail stuff yet, but... I'm just going to get in there and get the slightest indications on the stems of these mushrooms. White on white may not look like it's making a big difference, but it does have an effect. Particularly with the contrast paint, you are going to see the Apothecary White darken a little bit and go a little more gray in the areas where it pools. So there certainly is merit to doing white paint over white primer, depending on what kind of effect you're looking for. Okay. Alrighty then. Oops. I completely forgot the mushrooms on her head. Alrighty, there we go. Now remember, when you're cleaning off your brush, you push it up against the side of the mug, or whatever, you're holding the water in, and give it a spin. This will help to kind of push some of the excess paint out, as well as maintain the point. Alrighty. We'll switch over to this one now. We're going to go over to the Snakebite Leather to do some of the other dangly bits here. So let's see. You know what? I'm going to go back to the Basilicanum Gray for a moment because I missed the tip of an ear in there. Just want to quickly correct that before I move on. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so next up, the Snakebite Leather. So we got the belt. I don't want to get too much of it in there because this one, if you get a lot of Snakebite Leather on there, it dries extremely dark. I want to keep this one a little bit lighter. Not as light as the Skeleton Horde, but I don't want to get as dark as the Wildwood, because then I'll lose that contrast around the little apron piece in front. Whew. Getting a little tired. Wanted to sleep a little bit later this morning, but unfortunately the puppy and the kitty had other plans. And I was woken up at around my usual waking up time of around a little before 7 o'clock. Except this wasn't my circadian rhythms doing the job. It was Pixie barking and Vivi meowing rather loudly. You'd think, for a creature as small as he is, that he wouldn't have that big of a mouth, but oh boy. Do those meows carry? Whoa, hush, keep it down now, voices carry. There we go. And then next I'm going to do the little bracelet here. I think the charms on it I'm going to do in the Yandon Yellow. There's going to be a lot of Yandon Yellow on this. Oops. Got some brown on the arm there. Oh, I just realized I never mentioned who did win the painting competition. That was Matt Cantor with an amazing job on Boba Fett. We do still have it in the store, so if you want to swing on by and take a look at the phenomenal job that he did, go right on ahead. Okay. Alrighty then. So next up, I'm going to go to the Volupus Pink and take care of the frog thinger. And I think I'll stick with this brush. Actually, no, let's go back to the base coat one. Slightly bigger than the one I was just using. When I start getting to like the eyes and the other tiny stuff, I'll switch over to the fine detail brushes. It was around that point, when Coral was narrating in the third person, that he questioned the wisdom of getting voices carry stuck in his head earlier. What do you know? There's another fingernail I missed. Looks like I'm going back to the skeleton horde after this. And I gotta be careful I don't get any of the Volupus pink on the fingernails that I did remember to paint. I'm also going to pull the Black Templar back out and just touch up some of the fingers around the frog thinger. Now the Volupus pink really is a phenomenal color to show off exactly what the contrast paints are capable of, because that really has such a stark contrast between the lights and the darks once it's pooled and dried. As always, I have no idea if I'm even pronouncing the name correctly. I don't know if it's Volupus pink or Volupus pink or any other derivation thereof. As I go and drop Mollog, Holding my breath again. I gotta stop doing that. Okay. So next, let's go and get that last fingernail that I missed. Hopefully this will be the last one. Okay, I think that should be all right. Let's do those touch-ups with the black Templar, and then we're going to switch over to the Yandon Yellow. A little bit here in between the fingers, just a tiny bit there. A little bit in there. All right, I'm gonna go back to the pink again for just a little bit and just touch up a little bit on the frog creature. Do we have anyone who does miniature painting commissions? Actually, I'm glad you asked that, Dr. Red. Lewis at the store has been doing some painting for, I believe, Rory from the Tabletop Club with some of the Crisis Protocol stuff he's done. I know he's also done a few pieces for one of our Comic Club members who is a huge Punisher fan and ended up picking up the Punisher and Taskmaster Crisis Protocol 2-pack. So Lewis absolutely is a person to talk to and easily reached at the store. I believe that some of the other club members also do painting commissions. I believe Nestor Medina, who has his own stream channel called Nessie Knows, where he also does unboxing videos and stuff. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, kind of figured you meant cool and not coal. Okay. I'm going to go back to the Black Templar and just do the eyes of the frog creature. Again, things I should probably be using the magnifier for. Need to go back with a little more of the pink in there again. I am too much of a perfectionist. Alright, sounds like Windows Media Player is being funky again. Yep, it is. Okay, let's try yet again to restart that. Yep, note to self, next time, definitely use iTunes instead. Where did we leave off? Let's try here. I don't know if that is where we left off, but it's what I'm going with. Just going to get the eyelid there. There we go, that looks better. Okay. Next up, I'm going to do the Yandon Yellow, which I've been teasing for a while now. And I think we'll start with the charms and bangles. See, if I go a little lighter on the moon, it stays yellow. But if I go a little darker with the other bangles, it almost gets kind of orangey, so... It's a nice little way you can get multiple color effects with the same color, just by varying the amount of the color you're using. Next, let's move over to the earrings. Got a little moon on the back belt buckle too. Let's get that in there. There we go. This is an interesting piece. Sounds like it could be a dungeon theme for a Final Fantasy game. Okay. I'm going to switch over to a larger brush now as I get the yellow fungus on the club, because that's a lot of surface area to cover. So let's go with this one. I'm going to start laying out my next batch of colors to figure out where to go next. The end is in sight. And I think I'm definitely going to want to go a little heavier here. Now I don't want to go like just glob the paint all over the place, but I do want it to come out with a darker look. Really let it pool in the gap so it looks all real icky and gross. All that fungus there. And I'm saying this is somebody who likes mushrooms on my pizza. So some fungus is cool, but this fungus I want to be gross. God, when I put it that way, it definitely does not sound appetizing, and I'm regretting having worded it that way. Yep, that's looking nasty in all the right ways. Little troublemaker just wandered back in here. Well, looks like he's going right over to the bed. Somebody's being very insistent. Hi, Vivi. Can you get down, please? No, you can sit in my lap later, okay? Just... No, okay, now's not a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Vivi. Okay, down you go, little boy. Oops, sounds like my upstairs neighbors just dropped something. And that woke up Pixie from her nap. And now Pixie's up in my bed where she knows she's not supposed to be, and she's looking at me with this look in her eyes like, I know I'm not supposed to be here, don't yell at me, Daddy. My goodness, the two of them are in rare form today. Alrighty. Making progress, slowly but surely. Alrighty. That's good for the yellow there. And I think we'll go with a maybe a little red cap for the top mushroom on the end of the club there. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to go back and just do a little of the yellow over the fungus that's growing on her belly. Okay. Son of a gun. Alrighty, time to do the last of the mushrooms. So I think I'm going to start off with the Shaiish Purple, which I'm also going to use on her lips. So let's clean that brush off. And I'll come back to that in a moment. Oh, shoot, that's right. I also want to use... Okay, we'll get back to the Yandon Yellow in a moment as well. We'll do that after the Shyish purple. So first I'm going to use one of the detail brushes and to take care of the Shyish purple on the lips, and then I'm going to get one of the base brushes and I'll do the mushroom, the big mushroom on top of the head and the even bigger mushroom on her back. So let's go with this brush here, get a little of the Shyish purple on there. There we go. And let's go to the base coat brush. And we got this one right here. Be a little tough to get the undercoat of that one. Let's see. I think it might be time to break out the magnifier. Maybe not. That's a much better angle. Yeah, maybe we don't need to bring out the magnifier then. That works. Yeah, I just really globbed on this one. But as long as I spread it on out, we're going to get a nice, more even effect. So. Now another thing you can do as far as getting lighter shades when you're initially applying the paint, doesn't quite work afterwards, is that Games Workshop does put out a contrast medium that you can use to dilute the contrast paints even further. I have no idea what the dog is doing. I guess she was just making herself comfortable by just rolling around and around and around on the bed. Incidentally, on the subject of dogs, there is a new comic book coming out starting in February from Tony Fleeks and Trish Forstner. And the book's called Stray Dogs, and it's billed as Lady and the Tramp meets Silence of the Lambs. And if that doesn't intrigue you, I have no idea what will. The artwork is done in a very Don Bluth-y style, so if you remember, movies like All Dogs Go to Heaven, or An American Tail, or I think he did Balto, they did the first Land Before Time, Secret of Nim. Think that kind of look to it. And you've got a whole bunch of dogs that are living with this very nice man who takes care of them. But that's because they, dogs having, poor long-term memories, so think shades of Memento here as well. They don't remember that the reason they're with this master is because he had killed their original owners and kept the dogs as trophies. Yep, it's dark. So after the newest dog comes and joins the crew, it becomes kind of a mystery as they're trying to figure out what's going on. They know some of them start getting memories back of their original owners as they find other trophies that the killer has kept. And they're trying to figure out what to do to get out of their predicament. Very cool concept. Tony was nice enough to send me PDF files of the first 3 issues, so I got to read ahead. Of course, 3 ends on a hell of a cliffhanger, so I hate him for doing that. Goodness, I needed that. But it's definitely going to be a book worth taking a look at when it comes out in February. You can pre-order it now on our website or directly in the store. Again, the title of the book is Stray Dogs. Now just applying more of the Yandon Yellow to the underside of this big purple mushroom. Just so we can give it a little more personality. Also making sure to avoid getting the stem in there too. Thankfully there's a nice ridge in there, and unfortunately I don't remember back to high school biology what the different pieces of a mushroom are, so can't use the proper scientific technical terms for it, but whatever the ridged bit underneath the mushroom cap is going to be yellow. Okay, there we go. Definitely making a lot of forward progress here. I don't think I don't think we've got too much more to go on this. So next up, we're going to go over to the Blood Angel's Red, which I'm going to use for a couple of the mushrooms as well as Mollog's eyes. So, well, I'm giving the base coat brush a little more time to dry. I'm going to grab the fine detail brush. I'm going to do the eyes first. So I'll get a little on the tip there. And then the other side. There we go. A little more over here. Thankfully, with the heavier black Templar around it, kind of helps to conceal anything I might have done a little too much on. Okay, I know while I've got the tinier brush out, since she's got some smaller mushrooms on her head, let's go and make this one here a red cap. I almost forgot I had the Telesar blue out. Yeah, since I have it mentioned in my list of colors, I might as well make sure I use it. Yes, I know, I'm holding my breath again. go. Let's see. Actually, I think I see a couple more in there. I want to do a little more yellows too. Okay, let's bring that over here as well. I'm going to clean off the smaller brush here. I'm going to go back to the base brush to put some red on that mushroom there. Since it's got a bit more surface area, no point using a really, really tiny brush and, you know, putting unnecessary wear on that. Yeah, let's get underneath there with the red as well. Whew. And there's a tiny bit in there still that I can't quite reach. There we go. There we go. A little more over here. Okay. I think next we're going to go with the Talisar blue, then the Ethermatic blue, then back to the yellow, and then we're going to start looking to wrap this thing up. Still got some red on there. I think this one I'm going to leave white on the edges and underneath the cap. Just like that. And then let's get that small one over here. And this one I'll do the other side. There we go. And I'm seeing some shiny purple I missed, so we'll come back to that. Let's do that now before I move on to the Ethermatic. Where did I leave that shiny purple? Oh, there it is. Okay. Nope, missed. You know Vulcan and Ferris and Lehman and Horus, Jagatai, Lino, Lorgar and Corvus. But do you know who's the nerdiest Primarch of all? Magnus the Red-Skinned Cyclops had a really baleful eye. Very nice, Takaroshi. Or Takiroshi. I think I added an I on the end of that. Sorry about that. I actually, on Lewis's recommendation, somewhat recently, started reading Horus Rising by Dan Abnett, who I was a big fan of when he was writing Marvel's Cosmic stuff. Oh, you made that parody? Very nice, Tech Rush. Thank you for sharing it with us. That was very nicely done. But yeah, I'm finally starting to learn about who some of these guys are. And hold on one moment, Pixie, stop that, please. I have no idea what Pixie is doing to my bed, but she seems to be scratching and trying to dig something. But yeah, I've been reading Horus Rising, and I was enjoying it for the most part. Nothing too special until, oh goodness, I'm blanking on his name now. Wow. Anyway, most people try to go straight for the refrain tune. Very good point. You know, parody writing is a lost art. Oh yeah, so in Horus, when they finally had their first encounter with Samus, I'm like, okay, now I'm all in. This is the stuff I was looking for. Once you get into the demons and the chaos stuff, I'm like, okay, now I'm in. And yep, that doggo is Pixie. She is a 13-year-old border collie. A huge sweetheart. Loves everybody. Horus got tricked. I haven't quite got up to that part yet. I'm at the point where he's been in discussions with... why am I blanking on his name? It's like the central character of the entire book. And telling him about how he needs to make sure that he's not... kind of blame Lorgar. I don't think I've seen Lorgar yet. But anyways, going on about how they shouldn't be, thinking that any sort of spirits or anything exist after, the encounter with Samus. I think my favorite character right now is Cinderman. Really like him for some reason. What we got there, Dr. Red? You clipped me singing. Thank you. Here we are, Tiger Rush, Logar Pen, the Lectitio Divinatus that the Imperial Cult uses their central holy. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's definitely stuff I'm looking forward to getting to. I've been a big fan of Abnett with his Marvel Cosmic stuff, so... Dude's got some serious writing chops. Look, Dr. Red, I have no problem with anybody sharing me singing. I am rather proud of my singing voice. I just don't like watching myself sing after the fact. Abnett is way better than Ward and Goto. Haven't read any of their stuff. Like I said, my primary exposure to Abnett was when he and Andy Lanning were writing Guardians of the Galaxy, Annihilation Conquest, War of Kings, and Thanos Imperative. And really, I mean, the two of them were responsible for what we know as Guardians of the Galaxy now. I mean, the original Guardians team was... They were in the movies as the Ravagers, but not quite as successful as, you know, Star-Lord, Gamora, Groot, Rocket, and all of them. Yes, Drax, thank you. Can't forget Drax. Who would have thought that Batista would turn out to be a pretty good actor? Mantis, yep. Although I don't know if she doesn't really show up so much in the in Abnett Lanning's cosmic stuff, if I recall correctly. They were dealing a bit more with we need acting skills to be a wrestler. To some extent. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy The Rock. I think he is charismatic as hell, and he's got a great personality that carries a lot of stuff, but he is not a good actor. To be a great wrestler. Again, I'd put an asterisk on that one. Alrighty, I think next I'm going to go over some of the bumps on the big purple mushrooms. With the Xerius Purple, I'm going to dry brush that on, so let's see how that looks. And when that's done, I think I'm going to take care of the base and we'll be set. What role would you choose for Rikishi in the MCU? My goodness. I'll be honest, I was never a big follower of wrestling. I think I know who Rikishi is. Rather corpulent fellow, if I recall correctly. Was he? Did he ever have much of like a? Was he like a big showman at all, or was he more of just kind of the big silent type? Because if he was he's a relative of The Rock, okay. I was going to say, if he was more of the showman type as opposed to the big silent type, he might make a good Mojo. Especially now that the MCU has access to the X-Men again. Oh yeah, screw dry brushing. I'm just going to pick a couple of these out and just paint them directly. Let's see, now if he's more of the silent type, let's see. What characters haven't been used yet? I'm going to have to think about this one for a little bit. He's not all that silent. He's not that wordy. Okay, so definitely not a good mojo. I forget it. Yeah, sorry. Like I said, I'm not familiar enough with him to think of a good role for him. And we already have a Juggernaut. Especially since the MCU seems to be... It seems like their plan is to keep Deadpool intact. And who knows, they might end up recasting that, and you can definitely keep Ryan Reynolds and kind of pitch a lot of the other stuff. And then have Deadpool be self-aware that the universe has changed around him. He was already aware of there being multiple X-Men teams. And of his appearance in Wolverine Origins. Alrighty. I think those little spots up there, that'll be good for that. Now it's time to get the base done, and I think I'm complete. Deadpool in the MCU would be hilarious. Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that the crew in charge of the MCU is smart enough to know to keep, you know, they know the characters well enough to know what works and what should be kept and what should be, you know, jettisoned. And I think they're aware that they need to keep Ryan Reynolds on board and keep him happy and keep giving him a significant amount of creative control over the process. I mean, a lot of what made Deadpool work was him really going forward and pushing for a lot of things that he knew about the character, because he got the character. And if I recall correctly, the story went that when he was doing Blade 3, Blade Trinity, I think is what the official title was, the director had suggested to him, okay, the way I want you to play this character is a lot like Deadpool, and he just gave Reynolds a ton of Deadpool books to read up on, and that's when Reynolds became a huge fan of the character. And he made damn sure once he had, you know, control, and, you know, Fox was like, okay, look, whatever, you know, people are demanding this Deadpool movie, we don't want to really go forward with it, but whatever, just do what you want with it. And he, you know, just got that done, and he really just knocked it out of the damn park. Oh, now getting back to the painting for a moment. For the base here, because it's a full, like, you know, painted and it's a full, like, sculpted base, I'm just going to be using the contrast paints on here as well. And the color I'm using is Griff Charger Gray. He only did what Deadpool and Wolverine Origins, so no else would do him. Seriously, Ryan Reynolds. Oh, absolutely. And you can even see some of his Deadpool performance in Detective Pikachu. It's, you know, I think some people have jokingly said that Detective Pikachu is the all-ages, kid-friendly Deadpool movie. And while I wouldn't go that far, you can, I mean, Ryan Reynolds' sense of humor really is perfect for that character. But as I was saying with the Griff Charger Gray, what I really like about this shade is that it's got kind of a green tint to it, so it works really well for natural grays Pikachu. Yep. Because it definitely has that kind of, like, that little sense of, like, lichens and mosses and other things kind of, like, getting into the stone. And like a lot of the contrast paints, it does end up drying darker than it goes on, so a little will go a long way. So I'm just going to use this really big basing brush just to get the bulk of the gray taken care of on this stone base. But then I'm going to go back in with one of the smaller brushes just to get like in between the toes and some of the smaller sections are going to be a little tough to get with this gigantic brush. At least not without getting a bunch of paint where I don't want it. Like I can kind of get around the skulls here and that's fine. But I don't want to end up getting gray on them after they came out so nicely with the yellowish skeleton horde color that I already put on them. I also love how Ryan Reynolds went out of his way to get in touch with B. Arthur's sons to get their permission to use her likeness in the first Deadpool movie. And the cost just came down to him giving a bunch of money to her charity, which was wonderful. B was very active in a number of charitable causes in her life. Particularly with helping LGBT youth. Which is a big part of why I've frequently said that the old euphemism for gay men, friends of Dorothy, really should refer to Zbornak and not Gale. There's a deep cut for you. Oh, not very deep. Everyone knows Golden Girls. And Wizard of Oz. You know what? I don't think I even need to switch over to a smaller brush. Okay. It definitely looks a little more monochromatic. Sorry, she looks a little more monochromatic than I was originally planning. But I think it still works. Let me just touch up a little more of the base here. Okay. With that, I think we just may have a finished miniature. Quickly eyeball a couple of spots. Could probably use a little touching up, but I think we might be good for now. I'll give it a little time to dry and then just kind of go in and fix the little whoopsies here and there. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. I'd especially like to thank Dr. Red and Takarash for joining into the chat and keeping me company while I was doing this. If you're watching this as our replay on YouTube or on Facebook, you can always catch us live on Twitch. We're at twitch.tv/ToyWizStore. In addition to the miniatures videos, starting on January 5th, I'm going to be beginning a comic lecture series once a month. It's something I had started doing at the store prior to the pandemic, and then obviously with us not being able to get people together, we had to stop doing them. But I'm going to start doing them on Twitch. This way we can still kind of go through things. The first one is going to cover DC's upcoming Future State event. Let me see if I can hold Mollog up here. So here is our finished Mollog. I will have better pictures taken and posted up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/ToyWizCollectibles, and on Twitter, twitter.com/ToyWizStore, and Instagram, Instagram.com/ToyWizStore. And yeah, so I believe that is going to be that for now. If you enjoyed what you saw here, please follow us on Twitch. The more followers we have here, the more stuff I'll be able to do on the channel. And yeah, thank you very much. Happy holidays. Next week, probably going to be doing an assembly stream, but exactly what I'll be putting together, we'll find out then. Thanks for watching.